A horrible tragedy probably saved his life. Back in 2016, Tony Bussey was working in the oil fields in Fort McMurray, Alberta, and had to be evacuated because of those raging wildfires. Now, Tony tipped the scales at 567 pounds. He needed 2 seats on the evacuation bus and subsequent rescue airplane. In his words, he hit rock bottom when he realized his excessive weight had taken a seat away from somebody else to be brought to safety. Tony, great to have you on 100 Huntley Street.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, good to see you.
Thank you.
Obviously, you're not 600 pounds.
No, and the farthest I've ever been from it. Thank goodness.
And we're going to talk about that in a moment.
Yes.
But let's start off. How did you gain so much weight? How did you get to almost 600 pounds?
I would say through really bad eating habits. And I'll be honest, through some laziness, some bad decisions. I remember in 2004, I drove across Canada, and I was always hovering around 340, 350 for a few years. I drove across Canada. I came back to Fort McMurray, and nothing fit. Now, on that trip, I ate everything, and I ate it into excess. I mean, you're driving, so you're getting chocolate bars, you're getting chips. When I was home, it was a lot of takeout. I mean, my mom cooks great food, but even after she had a delicious Newfoundland supper cooked, I would go and have takeout. I just didn't stop. And
was that a problem as a kid, eating? Or is that more as an adult, being on the road, that kind of thing?
More as an adult, more as living alone, more lack of discipline, and so on. As a kid, I mean, I was a chubby kid. I was always a bit bigger kid, but I was very active. My father built me a rowboat, and that's one of my best memories to this day. And I would be out on the ocean, rowing around. You know, you see the whales, so even if you had what we would consider maybe an unhealthy meal, you would work it off. And so, but as I got older, the eating habits were horrible.
So you're well into the 300-pound range.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And then you get to near 600 pounds.
Yeah.
I mean,
that was from maybe about 2004 to about 2016. So over those years, it seemed like it almost like once you hit, say, 400 pounds, for example, the weight don't slowly come on anymore. It goes faster because now you're becoming depressed about how big you are. So that vicious cycle. You feel bad about your size, so you eat because you feel bad, but then you put on more weight because you're eating, then you feel worse, so you keep gaining.
Yeah, you felt a lot of hopelessness, I'm sure, at that point.
Beyond. And then you feel your clothes getting tighter. You feel like the coveralls at work are not fitting anymore. Jeans that used to fit you all the time didn't fit, so you had to get bigger size. And now you're not shopping at normal stores anymore. You're going to big and tall stores. And eventually, when I got to my biggest size, I would go into a big and tall store, and that clothes didn't fit.
Wow.
So when you go into a big and tall store, and they don't have nothing that's big or tall enough, I mean, I'm not tall, but when they don't have nothing big enough, that's kind of demoralizing, right?
So 2016,
Yes.
of course, we all remember those terrible
Yes, yes.
wildfires up in Fort McMurray. I know that we felt the effects down even in
Yes.
our part near Edmonton.
Yeah, smoke went everywhere.
Yeah, it was a terrible situation. You had to be evacuated for the second time.
Yes.
And this is where you say you hit rock bottom.
Oh, hugely. When we got flown up to camp, everything is made for normal-sized people. Nothing is made for a 600-pound man. So I remember when I even got into camp, I got on the bed, and the bed cracked a little bit. You know, things like that. The bathroom was small. But I kind of dealt with those things for years, so I was kind of used to that. But when they evacuated us, I remember a gentleman at the time, and I understood why he did it, because you don't want to, it was well over 30 degrees, it was very hot, you're up in the woods basically. So they took me under the back of the line. I was just lined up waiting to get on the buses. They took me under the back, put me on the front. Being that size, anybody that size don't want any extra attention, but I understand why they did it. So they put me on the bus, and when they put me on the bus, I was spilling over into the next seat, so much so that nobody could sit there. So you're looking out the bus window, you're seeing all these people waiting to get out of this, and they're almost like they're looking up at you, you know. You're feeling horrible because now somebody's got to wait. Somebody can't leave because there's an empty seat there, but I'm too fat to sit next to. So we leave and we go up a bit further north. There's a big airport up there that they use for the camps and so on. So we're waiting there, and planes are landing. As they fill up, they're taking off. More planes are landing. The oil sands companies, they did great in organizing that evacuation real fast. I mean, that wildfire was something like the country has never seen.
Oh,
It just seemed to have a life of its own.
Terrible, yeah.
And we got on the plane, and the plane was packed. All they were waiting for was the plane to be full. As soon as the plane was full, it was going to taxi down the runway, another one land. But when I got on the plane, there was an empty seat again next to me. And again, I'm spilling over into that seat, so nobody can sit there.
So you have this moment where you're feeling at the lowest of lows.
Oh, yeah.
But you talk to your mom, and a spiritual part is a big part of this as well. So you're feeling real bad.
Oh, feeling horrible.
But you talk to your mom and you start to pray. Tell me about how your spiritual, relationship with Jesus and, getting healthy again, how that all came together.
Well, Mom, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and admit that I was always the perfect, Christian. Make a lot of mistakes, I still do.
Join the club.
Yeah, and I definitely, wouldn't be setting the best example a lot of times. But Mom, my mother is a wonderful, beautiful, caring woman. And I've always said there's nothing more powerful in this world than the prayers of a mom, of a mother. And I knew she prayed for me. And I always knew that to come out of that size, to be almost 600 pounds, to not have any permanent disabilities. I don't have diabetes. I got fully checked over by the doctor. I mean, even if I ever fell and broke a leg, how would a 600-pound man heal from that?
So you feel it was a miracle?
Oh, big time.
Okay.
Big time. To even just to function. And I look back now and see myself. I mean, when I would sit down, my stomach would come out to here. Just to function a day-to-day at your job, just to do normal things, was a miracle. To come out of all of that and not to be really sick was a miracle.
Were you worried you're going to have a heart attack?
Oh, I was getting the symptoms. I was getting chest pains. I would wake up in the morning, stand by my bed for a few minutes, sometimes 15, 20 minutes, because I was getting bad circulation going down through my legs. My skin was turning brown. I was having trouble sleeping. I would wake up in the middle of the night choking. My mom told me when I had the weight gone, she used to wonder how she was going to get my body home.
Oh.
And that broke my heart. But she prayed. And she still prays for me.
So the praying begins, you start losing the weight. So by, June, a few months later, you're down 30 pounds?
Yeah, I started May 2016 when we went back to work, because the only place I could weigh myself was on the scale in the warehouse that they would use for forklifts and so on. And I went back, and for the first time in years, my weight went down, not up, and I had 30 pounds gone.
And then 100 pounds by September?
Then 100 pounds by September. And then for the first time in years, I could wear jeans again. Like these jeans here, they're size 66.
Yeah, let's show them.
These, I can't.
Yeah, do you keep these as, because when you're talking about your story, is that?
Yeah.
And as a reminder as well to yourself,
Oh,
like
yeah.
where you've come from?
I would love to buy a vehicle someday that you can hang these from the rear view mirror, but I don't think you get a car big enough. But these are size 66.
Wow.
And the thing about these is that these were too small for me. I couldn't fit into these anymore. I had a good friend of mine, Corey Carlson. He passed away through a tragic accident. But I wore these at his funeral. There was no way I was going to wear gym pants at a funeral. I could barely get them on, barely get them up over my belly. And when I came home that day, I took them off, and I never wore them since. It was always, it was 7X gym pants. That's what I would wear.
So how much weight have you now lost?
I've lost 335 pounds. My highest was 338. I always go up and down 2-3 pounds.
Okay.
But I basically stayed the same now for the last year, and I'm just kind of maintaining. And
living a healthy lifestyle now?
Yes. And,
feels good?
Oh, feels great. My doctor figures I got about 30 pounds of loose skin on me. That's all of this. I got to get taken off. I got to get surgeries to get that taken off. But I feel amazing. It's every morning, and I've said this in many interviews, I can wear socks. This makes me smile. Every morning, to this day, I get up and I put this on, and I smile, because I could not do that before. You were from Edmonton. You know how the winters can get cold up there.
Cold, yeah.
You go around in Fort McMurray in the wintertime with no socks, just shoes on with Velcro, minus 40. When you can start doing this again and tying up and wearing proper winter boots, there's nothing.
Well, the things that, the little things that we often take for granted.
Oh, I can go on. We could sit here for hours.
Tony, we're almost out of time, but what would you say to the person that's struggling with a weight issue like you did, had, obesity, or we've even talked earlier this week about bulimia and that? It's a hopelessness, isn't it?
It is. There is nothing worse. And if through all of this, if somebody can realize out there that there are other people that are going through, because the worst thing is when you're that size, you feel completely alone. You feel completely depressed, like you're the only person in the world going through it. But if I can say something to anybody out there, I was 41. I was almost 600 pounds. It didn't cost me any money because all I did was walk. There was no magic tricks, just hard work and stubbornness. I changed my eating habits. You're never too old or too big to change your life. And the happiness that you will find after, when the weight is off and everything becomes easier, there's no tub of ice cream, there's no bag of chips, there's nothing that can compare. And it doesn't take long. 2 years I had the weight off. 2 years in the grand scheme of things is a blink of an eye.
Well, Tony, thank you for your story, for sharing it with us.
I appreciate it.
And
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's good talking to you. Yes. We love the folks of Newfoundland. Yes. I know you're living in Alberta now. And again, thank you for sharing your story. By the way, the name of the book is Through Thick and Thin.
Yes.
Hear more of your story. So again, thank you for coming on 100 Huntley Street. And again, if you need to talk to somebody, maybe it's a weight issue, a medical issue, whatever it is, please know that we always have prayer people standing by. Give us a call, 1-866-273-4444, or you can email us at prayer@crossroads.ca.